Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into a really complicated and honestly profound relationship, the one between artificial intelligence and our very own minds.
This claim right here, it's pretty provocative, and it really sets the stage for everything we're going to talk about. It frames using AI not as just being efficient, but it uses the language of sin and absolution. It really forces us to ask, is every time we use AI a form of intellectual laziness? Are we trading away something fundamental for the sake of convenience?
Okay, first things first, we need to get a handle on a key term, cognitive offloading. Now, it sounds a little academic, but it's something you do all day, every day. It's just letting an outside tool do the thinking for you, whether it's using a calculator for some quick math or your phone's GPS to get you from point A to point B.
But here's the fascinating part. This fear, this anxiety that our tools are somehow making us weaker, it is as old as civilization itself. This is not a new worry. So to really understand our present, we've got to take a step back and listen to some warnings from history.
I mean, look at this. For millennia, practically every single tool that promised to make our thinking a little bit easier was met with some serious fear. From Socrates worrying about writing to fears about the printing press, all the way to teachers in the 70s absolutely panicking about handheld calculators, the pattern is, well, it's remarkably consistent. Let's go way, way back. Over 2,400 years ago, Plato wrote down that his teacher, Socrates, was worried about the hot new tech of his day. And what was it? Writing. He argued that it would create forgetfulness in people's souls because they'd stop doing the hard work of memorizing things and just rely on these, quote, external marks. And the result? People wouldn't be filled with wisdom, but with the conceit of wisdom. Ouch. And that's the same echo you hear all throughout history. You know, whether it was the printing press that was going to unleash a confusing and harmful flood of information, or the calculator that was going to ruin basic math skills, the fear underneath it all is identical. If we give away the struggle, we might just be giving away the strength that was supposed to come from it.
So, let's shift gears. Let's move away from these philosophical fears and look at the hard biological evidence. What is actually happening inside our brains when we offload our thinking to all this technology? Well, modern science has given us this incredible concept called neuroplasticity. And what it proves is that our brains are not static. They're not fixed. They physically rewire themselves based on our experiences. The pathways we use get stronger, and the ones we neglect, they literally get weaker and can even fade away. Our tools are physically reshaping our brains.
A perfect example of this in the wild is London's taxi drivers. To get their license, they have to pass this brutally difficult test called the knowledge, where they memorize thousands of streets. And the result of all that effort? The part of their brain that handles spatial memory, the hippocampus, is literally physically bigger. Now contrast that with people who constantly offload navigation to a GPS. Studies show they have significantly less activity in that exact same part of the brain.
The science here is sending a very clear and, frankly, pretty brutal message about our cognitive abilities. The skills we outsource to technology are the very skills our brains might decide they just don't need to maintain anymore. Use it or lose it.
And this whole process can create a really dangerous feedback loop, one that can lock us in a cage we build ourselves. It goes like this. We feel a moment of boredom or a mental challenge, so we instinctively reach for a device. But that quick fix, that constant switching, it actually trains our brain for distraction. It makes deep focus even harder to achieve. And because we can't focus, we feel more restless. So what do? We reach for the device again. Every swipe, every prompt could be another bar on that cage.
So this all brings us to the crucial question, right? Is generative AI just the next calculator in a long line of tools that we've worried about? Or is this time fundamentally different?
Well, the evidence seems clear. AI isn't just another small step. It's a massive leap in kind. Think about it. Previous tools, like writing or even Google, they offloaded storage and retrieval. They were basically external hard drives for our minds. But generative AI is something else entirely. It offloads the uniquely human stuff, synthesis, reasoning, even creativity. We've gone from offloading what we know to offloading the very process of thinking itself. And as you can imagine, this leap has sparked a huge philosophical debate. On one side, you've got the extended mind theory, this idea that AI can become a literal part of our own cognitive process, powerfully extending our abilities. But on the other side, you have the atrophied self-view, which is basically a warning that this ignores biology and that over-relying on AI will simply cause our own brains to weaken from disuse. And now, the evidence is starting to roll in, and it's leaning towards that atrophied self view. A recent Microsoft study of knowledge workers found this absolutely stunning correlation. The more confident people became in the AI, the less they used their own critical thinking. They were just letting the machine think for them.
So, after we've weighed the history, the neuroscience, and the totally unique nature of AI, what's the final verdict on our big question?
When we put generative AI into this whole historical context, it really does look like the culmination of every single one of those past fears, right? Writing offloaded memory. The internet offloaded factual recall. But AI offloads reasoning itself. It's targeting the very core of what we consider human thought.
Of course, it's never that simple, is it? Because ignoring AI's unbelievable power for human augmentation would be a massive mistake. In fields from medicine to art, AI is a truly revolutionary tool. It's freeing up experts from tedious work so they can focus on bigger, more creative problems.
So this is the crucial point. This is really the heart of it. AI's impact is not the same for everyone. For an expert who already has a deep well of knowledge, AI is a powerful sidekick to augment their skills. They can spot errors, they can use it strategically. But for a novice, for someone just starting out, that same AI can become a crutch, a cognitive substitute that stops them from doing the hard work they need to do to build their own expertise in the first place.
And this brings us right to the central metaphor for our modern condition, the gilded cage. The gold is the incredible, undeniable power and convenience that AI offers us. The cage is the comfortable prison of cognitive dependency that we risk building around ourselves if we just use it uncritically.
So how do we navigate this cage? Well, it's definitely not about rejecting the technology. It's about a revolution in education, where we teach critical thinking and, just as importantly, when not to use AI. It's about us demanding technology that's built to augment us, not replace us. And maybe most importantly, it requires a renewal of personal discipline. Choosing the struggle, choosing the effort, not because the task requires it, but because we require it to stay sharp.
So ultimately, the question this explainer leaves you with is a deeply personal one. With every click, with every single prompt you type, the choice is yours. Are you building the bars of a very comfortable cage, or are you building a more powerful, extended version of your own mind?